You come here when you have no committee, and you wait to be placed in a committee. And you can be discharged anytime from any committee. You can be de-whipped anytime from a committee. You can be, the standing order says you should only be in one committee. Even the catering service is a committee of parliament. People who take care of our food, our tea, our mandasi. Why are people belittling that committee, Mr. Speaker? If you are placed in the catering service, like Honorable Jen Kihara, she's a mother, she should work there. She knows better than all of us what to do, Mr. Speaker. So we are taking that place the best of the best, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, why do you want to cook food in your house and you don't want to do it in Parliament? Why, Mr. Speaker? So, Mr. Speaker, it is the prerogative of the leadership and the whip to place you in a committee, to discharge you from a committee, and if your conduct becomes unbecoming, you will be de-whipped, Mr. Speaker. With those feedbacks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
You second.
Mr. Speaker, I second, yes.
Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 9, which is that further to the resolution of the House on Wednesday, 5th March 2025, appointing members to various committees and pursuant the provisions of Standing Order 175, this House further approves the appointment of the following members to the respective committees as specified hereunder. 1. Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining, the Honorable Chepkwony Charity Kadhambi, MP, to replace the Honorable Kuno Yakub Ado, MP, who appears twice in the approved list. 2. The Honorable Dr. Gichuki Edwin Mugo, MP, to replace the Honorable Wainaina Anton Njoroge, MP. 3. The Honorable Ahmed Shakil Shabir, CBS MP, to replace the Honorable Wetangula Timothy Wanyonyi, CBS MP. Put the question? Yes. I now put the question at order number 9, which is that further to the resolution of the House on Wednesday, 5th March 2025, appointing members to various committees and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 175, this House further approves the appointment of the following members to the respective committees as specified hereunder. 1. Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining, the Honorable Chepkwony Charity Kadhambi, MP, to replace the Honorable Kuno Yakub Ado, MP, who appears twice in the approved list. Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife, the Honorable Dr. Gichuki Edwin Mugo, MP, to replace the Honorable Wainaina Anthony Njoroge, MP. Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library, the Honorable Ahmed Shakil Shabir, CBS MP, to replace the Honorable Wetangula Timothy Wanyonyi, CBS MP. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg your indulgence before we move to the next order, which is Committee of the Whole House. Honorable Speaker, as I indicated in the usual Thursday statement, we are considering, one of the bills that we are considering is the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, in Committee of the Whole House. Honorable Speaker, this bill was published in January of 2024. And we considered in second reading, debated, and after debate, the only thing that has been pending is a Committee of the Whole House. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to give a statement regarding misinformation and a disinformation campaign on this particular bill, which was perpetuated by one of the media houses, and I think many members have seen it. The Public Audit Amendment Bill of 2024. And you have seen in the media, and I think this was perpetuated by one of the media houses. I don't know whether it was a fake story or a real story, because what was initially circulated had the banner of one of the media houses, and consequently picked up by the media, alleging that the National Assembly has drafted a bill that is taking away the powers of the Auditor General, following the pronouncements that the Auditor General had done in her normal audit reports, which are before this House and before committees of this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when that happened, the usual characters on social media picked it up and spiraled it out of control, alleging very absurd things and very unconstitutional things that were being done by this bill. And I thought it was important that we set the record straight on the import of the Public Audit Amendment Bill of 2024, which, as I've said, was published in January of 2024, not January of 2025. Therefore, if anyone imagined, as they have been saying on social media, that this bill was targeting the Auditor General because of her recent report, it is very far from the truth. But it is this campaign of misinformation and disinformation, Honorable Speaker, that saw this House suffer immensely in terms of reputation and interference with our work that led up to the events of June 2025 because of a campaign, deliberate campaign of disinformation. Honorable Speaker, in this light, it is this light of sensationalized, inaccurate, false, misleading reports that the bill seeks to remove the Auditor General from office. And nothing could be further from the truth. Honorable Speaker, the office of the Auditor General, as we all know, is an independent constitutional office whose tenure and independence is well protected in our Constitution under Article 229 of our Constitution. And that is why, even in my response on Twitter or on X, I told them there are certain unconstitutional things anyone cannot even fathom that can be done through an act of parliament like this. Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks to amend the Public Audit Cap 412B in order to align it with the Constitution following a declaration issued by the High Court in the case of Transparency International Kenya versus the Attorney General and two others of 2018, petition number 388 of 2016, the Transparency International Kenya case. That's sections 4.2, 8, 12, 17, 1, 18, 27, 40, 42, and 70 of the Public Audit Act, Cap 412B, are unconstitutional. And that is a court that ruled that. And therefore, all that this bill sought to do is to align, or rather to correct the unconstitutionality of what was found to have been unconstitutional in the bill that had been passed earlier in 2016 in the last parliament. In the Transparency International case, Transparency International TI Kenya, the petitioner filed a petition against the Attorney General and the Auditor General and the Africa Center for Open Governance, AFRICOG, as first and second interested parties, respectively. The petitioner challenged constitutionality, the constitutional validity of sections 4, 2, 7, 1G, 9, 12, 14, 17, 18, 18 subsection 3, and the entire part 3. That is section 25, 26, 27, sections 40, 42, 68, 70, and 72 of the Public Audit Act, Cap 412B. Justice Chacha Mwita held that sections 4.2, 8, 12, 17, 1, 18, 27, 40, 42, and 70 of the Public Audit Act, Cap 412B, were inconsistent with and in contravention of the Constitution and were invalid. Honorable Speaker, this is the reason why we had this bill, so that we could align the Public Audit Act to the High Court declarations. I have looked at the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning's report that was tabled and its proposed amendments to the bill. And I have not seen anywhere of a proposal to remove the Auditor General as head of the National Audit Office. In any case, when the Auditor General, Honorable Speaker, appeared before the committee and she made representations before the Finance and National Planning Committee, she never indicated that the bill sought to remove her from her office. The committee report is publicly available and on the parliamentary website. And again, in my ex post, I did indicate so that Kenyans may be appraised of accurate information regarding the business, either before the House or that is speculated to be before the House. Because I have also seen others speculating that there are bills touching on borders in the National Assembly. And the bill that was proposed about borders was proposed by the Senator for Kakamega in the Senate as a private member's bill. Honorable Speaker, it is my plea that in reporting business that is before the House, and it's my plea to our very good journalists in the Fourth Estate, when you are reporting business before the House, please report accurately, maintain the highest levels of journalism standards with accuracy, and refrain from having sensational stories that are only geared towards inciting members of the public or selling your otherwise slow-moving newspapers. Honorable Speaker, I want to end my statement there, but again, to appeal to everybody, including Kenyans, and inform them that any business that is before this House, whether it is a motion, whether it is a bill, it is publicly available on our website. And that bill on the website, at the back of each bill, it has the objects or the reasons behind, the reasoning behind the bill. So you do not need any journalist or anybody on social media to interpret things for you. Just read. And I believe our drafters, both in the National Assembly, in Senate, in the Attorney General's office, use very plain and simple language for any Kenyan to be able to read and understand. And I believe also, Honorable Speaker, I have seen some platforms where our bills are being translated in Swahili for those who are not able to read them in English. And therefore, there is no reason why people should be circulating false, inaccurate, misleading, and insightful statements purporting that anybody wants to remove the Auditor General. And I say that with immense respect to the Auditor General and the Office of the Comptroller of Budget, Honorable Speaker. As much as I saw yesterday, MCS from Nairobi are now demonstrating outside the office of the Comptroller General, Comptroller of the Budget. And Honorable Speaker, if I could also, in closing, implore on these independent offices, Honorable Speaker, when I saw what the MCS for Nairobi County were doing, it is something I know, and you know, I am the last person to speak for governors, Honorable Speaker. But the Office of the Comptroller of Budget needs to style up. Ask any governor in this country, they have to go through hell to get their monies approved for use in their counties by the Office of the Comptroller of Budget. And many will tell you, without parting with money, without paying bribes to officers in that office, governors never get justice. And I say this, Honorable Speaker, because the other houses are the ones who should be speaking about this issue. But because I saw it in the media that MCAs now have taken it upon themselves, the MCAs from Nairobi County, to go and demonstrate or seek for justice, especially around money that should be going to their constituents in their wards, and they can't get approvals, Honorable Speaker. And it's not just Nairobi County. Across the country, governors and county governments are suffering because of inefficiencies and corruption in the Office of the Comptroller of Budget. But because they're independent offices, they imagine if anyone speaks about them, the whole world will come crumbling down, saying, oh, you're attacking independent offices. Their independence can never go without being checked, and it is only Parliament that can check these independent offices, and even the Office of the Auditor General, Honorable Speaker. The Auditor General reports to Parliament. That is why her reports are sent to the National Assembly and the Senate for those that relate to counties, for them to offer an opportunity to the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies of government to appear before our oversight committees and answer to all the issues that the Auditor General has raised. And therefore, when again people pick sensational issues that are in the Auditor General's report without paying any attention to the responses by the management of the MDAs, Honorable Speaker, then we run the risk of sensationalizing everything about the running of public offices in this country. And therefore, we must call for accountability even in these offices, Honorable Speaker. And I want to take the opportunity, even as we correct the misinformation, to call for accountability even within our independent constitutional office like that of the Comptroller of Budget. And I have said it, Honorable Speaker, and I am certain if our governors had the forum like I have here, they will tell you they are suffering. Speak to any governor, they will tell you they have to bribe officers in that Office of the Control of Budget to get their expenditures approved. And that's why you've seen MCAs really crying out on behalf of the people that they represent. Because MCAs are people's representatives like members of parliament. They represent constituents who are waiting for drugs to get to hospitals in their wards. Children who are waiting for bursaries. As much as, again, I hear there was something else to do with bursaries coming from the county's Honorable Speaker. But we must speak for these people, because if we do not, Honorable Speaker, it then becomes fashionable in our sport to just talk about the sensational reporting that is out there, but nobody is holding to account these independent officers. But that is our mandate, and we must do it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Janet.
Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice to what the majority leader has raised, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this matter of the audit, the bill, has been sensationalized, Mr. Speaker, so much in the country, to the extent that they were saying the majority leader has tabled a bill in Parliament to remove the Auditor General from office, Mr. Speaker. And I was shocked, because I'm a member of this House, and I have never seen a bill of that type, Mr. Speaker. And what even shocked me more is that the story was carried by a highly reputable newspaper, media house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what is happening nowadays in our country in the sphere of media, Mr. Speaker, is shocking. Nowadays, you'll wake up to headlines that are saying, stupid man, useless man. Mr. Speaker, what kind of media is that? Where is the Media Council of Kenya that's supposed to regulate the media? Where is, if people are aggrieved on what media is doing, where do you complain to, Mr. Speaker? And there are no apologies. They will move on. They can write anything today, tomorrow they will write another one, Mr. Speaker, and nothing happens. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, but the main issue I wanted to bring to the attention of the House, Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General reports to the National Assembly in terms of expenditure of government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have been a member of the Public Accounts Committee in the last two parliaments. Auditing of government expenditure did not start today or yesterday, Mr. Speaker. There is a procedure that is followed whenever auditing is done, Mr. Speaker. And the law is very clear. I want to bring to the attention of the House that Article 226 of the Constitution, as read with the Public Audit Act 412B, Mr. Speaker, provides for the procedure of auditing, Mr. Speaker, which requires that the Auditor General engages the public servants who are in the public offices, audits them, and reports to Parliament. Parliament is now supposed to verify whether the audit report is correct or not correct. Until that is done, Mr. Speaker, and a report is tabled before the Assembly of the House, before the plenary of the House, Mr. Speaker, that audit is not confirmed, Mr. Speaker. Those issues raised in that audit report. You will see now the Auditor General reports on a matter before it is verified, before it is certified. It is all over the country saying that so-and-so has stolen this, so-and-so has, this kind of money has been lost, and to the extent of inviting the Auditor General to appear before you, and she confirms that this is what she has found. But she has not told that committee that the matter has not yet been verified by the Committee of the House, Mr. Speaker, because the Committee of the House is the arbiter on that matter. The public servant who has been accused of malpractice and the Auditor General, who is the prosecutor, appear before the Committee of the House, and everyone brings his or her documents before the Committee of the House. Unless we have changed our rules, unless we have changed our laws on auditing, Mr. Speaker, that is the position as far as I'm concerned. Now, Mr. Speaker, any audit report is a confirmed report before it is audited, before it is brought before the House. Mr. Speaker, that culture will lead to anarchy. That culture will lead to people's names being destroyed, Mr. Speaker, without any recourse. Mr. Speaker, why the civil servants are being given an opportunity to explain what the Auditor General has reported is because they might have been delaying submission of documents, there have been misinformation, could have been misinformation, there could have been misreporting. All that needs to be looked at. But if the Auditor General's word is final, then why report to Parliament then? Why can't the auditor do the report and publish it, and that should be the end of the story? That is not what the law says. And we must be people who are guided by the Constitution and the law. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans nowadays are asking themselves whether these independent offices that they gave themselves unto through the new Constitution is really serving them. Look at the controller of budget, Mr. Speaker. County government, you know, the controller of budget, Mr. Speaker, is supposed to check whether the expenditures that are being incurred by the county government and the national government are in tandem with the budget that has been approved by Parliament, period. But now, every county government must seek the approval of the controller of budget for any expenditure. If they want to build a dam, he must go to the controller of budget and ask her, can I build this dam or not? Then there is a lot of corruption. The other day, the auditor, the controller of budget reported that the government, the national government, spent 1.3 trillion manually without passing through our office, Mr. Speaker. And he said that money was supposed to be spent electronically. Mr. Speaker, who is this mad person who knows that Parliament is going to audit them, Parliament is going to hold them accountable, and you can spend public funds which are not budgeted for? Mr. Speaker, the corruption in the controller of budget office must end. Devolution is suffering. Governors are suffering. Governors are unable to perform. Governors cannot access monies that have been appropriated for them, Mr. Speaker, because of the office of the controller of budget, Mr. Speaker. And it has been the norm. And the controller of budget has refused to take any action. She has been summoned to the Senate. She has been summoned to the National Assembly. Governors have gone to see her. The Council of Governors have gone to plead with her that devolution is suffering. There is corruption in her. For every approval, you must part with something. Governors are saying openly everywhere that for us to get approval from the Controller of Budget's office, we must give some money. Mr. Speaker, under this era, where the country is facing problems and devolution is almost on its deathbed, but money has been given and the Controller of Budget is stifling it, Mr. Speaker, it is up to this House now to rise to the occasion and take action. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I conclude.
David, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to
take 2 minutes.
Yes, I'll take 2 minutes. I just want to follow up on the issue that has been said by the majority leader and the minority leader in regards to the media. We can see that there is indiscipline in the fourth estate, and we have allowed that indiscipline because there are no consequences for misreporting and misinformation at all. We must begin to put pressure on them. One, if those who are within the Bunge grounds, who are accredited to report here in Bunge, misreport, then the accreditation must be taken. And not just the individual accreditation, that of their media house. It's as simple as that. Because they owe us a duty to report accurately, and that's why we allow them access to be here, but they cannot be here and continue to misreport. Also, we must ensure that there is legal consequences. Every time they misreport, if they misreport the Auditor General should sue them. If they misreport Parliament, we should be able to sue those media houses until they begin to know that we are not going to allow it. Or else, if we continue this way, the media houses will be in charge of destroying institutions, destroying individuals, and writing whatever we want. We cannot allow that. We must also make sure that we keep saying, no matter how many times, sending our complaints to the Media Council. And if the Media Council doesn't take action, then we can take them to account. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Makali Mulu, 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to be very brief, and I want to talk about the issue of the media and the House. While I hear my colleagues saying it should be the work of this House trying to tell the media not to report, I see it different, Honorable Speaker. Because we are the initiators of the bills, most of the bills come from the government side, others come from the members. Why don't we have a communication strategy whereby either the owner of the bill or the Parliament do in a very simplified manner communicate the objects of the bill? Because commenting on this issue of the audit bill, Honorable Speaker, procedurally, and you know it, Speaker, budget issues relating to the Auditor General come to the Budget Committee. And this is basically because the Auditor General should be an annex of this house. The work of the Auditor General is to help this house do proper oversight because they give us information. So that being the case, Honorable Speaker, I don't know at what point we decided that this bill should be looked at by the Finance Committee, which normally looks at issues of Treasury. Because from where I say, I might be misinformed, I'm not a lawyer, but I thought procedurally, we have, as a house, we have actually guarded. We have more, as a house, we have made sure that we don't expose the Auditor General to the interaction with the Treasury. And I think that is good for democracy and for purposes of our oversight role as a House, Honorable Speaker. So even as we discuss this audit bill, for me, I think that the gap has always been because we might have not, as a House, communicated effectively what are the objectives of this bill. And I think the majority leader should have taken a bit of time to do that so that we don't allow Kenyans out there to comment on a bill which they don't understand. I submit, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
But Makalimul, and the objects of the bill in the bill itself. Yes, Kimani?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, misinformation starts with errors. Disinformation starts with agenda. When I looked at what the media reported on this particular bill, I could tell for a fact that was the agenda that they were trying to pursue. This bill, Honorable Speaker, in any case, it is giving more power and more authority to the Office of the Auditor General. The function of, for example, auditing human resource was not expressly provided for in the law. And therefore, these particular proposals are actually giving more power and more influence to the Office of the Auditor General. On the issue of this disinformation, Honorable Speaker, last week we held a meeting with the Controller of Budget on the issue of those manual and automatic payments. I was surprised on the headline to see on the Sunday Nation the following day. I wondered, was this the same meeting I was chairing? Because the issue of that particular discussion, how it was translated, it is like National Treasury went to Central Bank and withdrew 1.3 trillion shillings in cash. And that is what disinformation was meant to inform Kenyans. And what that would actually meant, National Treasury, for a very long time, National Treasury will process payments manually. There would be a lot of paperwork that the PS has to sign, taken to the Control of Budget manually for approvals. What now National Treasury has done is to come from manual to automatic approval of transactions. However, because debt payments are extremely many and they're payments that are made every time, some of these processes have not fully migrated into automation, Honorable Speaker. So what we should be doing is congratulating the Principal Secretary and the CS National Treasury for coming out from the manual systems to the automatic systems and encourage them that all those payments should all be onboarded onto automatic system, Honorable Speaker. But the disinformation is an agenda and you must call them out because...
Honorable members, I think we'll end up there. It is important to point out to our compatriots in the media that we expect and require you to report factually, accurately, because these are not abstract issues. Bills are published, they're in print, they're posted on the parliamentary web, and you can also get hard copies from the government printer and from the House of Parliament itself. And we have said, following the President's set in the impeachment proceedings, that we will also be posting bills to offices of members of Parliament at the constituency and the county level for women reps, for members of the public to access these bills, those who want to read, understand, and they are free to critique without sensation, without disinforming. And for avoidance of doubt, honorable members, the Auditor General of the Republic of Kenya is appointed under Article 229 and can only be removed from office under Article 251 and not in any other manner. The Speaker of this House will not approve any bill that is brought to this House to purport to remove the Auditor General, because the process of removing the Attorney General from office is provided for in the Constitution. And we encourage the media where they are not able to comprehend any matter before the House, to feel free to reach out to the office of the leadership of the House, the majority leader, the minority leader, the Speaker's office, the clerk's office, and any other office that they can access for clarity on matters that concern the public. I think we can leave it there. Honorable members, I've got two short communications. In the public gallery of the House, we have Namanga Secondary School from Mathioya in Muranga. On my behalf and on your behalf, we welcome the students and their teachers to the House of Parliament. Secondly, honorable members, there's a corrigendum on the stay of consideration of the Kenya Sign Language Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2024. Yesterday, honorable members, you recall that during the afternoon sitting, I guided the House on the stay of consideration of the Kenya Sign Language Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2024. The bill is sponsored by the Honorable Umulkhair Harun Mohammed, MP nominated. Honorable members, in the communication I indicated that the bill has similar proposals as those contained in the Kenya Sign Language Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2023, co-sponsored by Senator Crystal Asiga MP, and the Minority Whip, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo Mabona, CBS MP, which is also before the House. In this regard, honorable members, I wish to clarify that the Kenya Sign Language Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2023, is co-sponsored by Senator Crystal Asiga MP and is to be co-sponsored by the nominated member, the Honorable Umulkhair Harun MP in the National Assembly, given that the bills were identical and Honorable Umulkhair had sponsored the bill in this House. We are accordingly guided. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole House.
Members, will you be upstanding? Oh, hold on. Sorry, I had given Timothy Kiprotich an opportunity to raise a point of order, and as a matter of interest, it is directed at both majority and minority leaders. Timothy, go ahead for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker,
I will pray for extension of time. Honorable Speaker, I pray for 5 minutes to raise a certain matter, Honorable Speaker, on a certain constitutional matter regarding the reconstitution of committees by this House. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 1, as read with Standing Order 173, regarding the reconstitution of committees by this Honorable House. Honorable Speaker, this House consists of members from the majority party, from the minority, but Honorable Speaker, we also have independents, members who are elected on an independent ticket to this Honorable House. Honorable Speaker, independent members of Parliament are elected pursuant to Article 85 and Article 99 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, further, Article 103(e)(2) provides that the office of MP becomes vacant if an independent member joins a political party. Honorable Speaker, further, Standing Order 259(b) establishes the caucus of independent members as a coordination and advocacy platform to safeguard the interests of independent members of this House. Honorable Speaker, cognizant of the fact that independent caucus selected one of their members to sit in the committee of selection in order to protect, defend, and uphold the interests of the independent members of this House. Honorable Speaker, independent members are nominated to committee through the Committee on Selection as per Standing Order 173, which provides that the independent caucus of members of Parliament, which has been formally been recognized by this House, to submit names of their preferred committees. Honorable Speaker, concerned that the majority whip, in particular, has jurisdiction over members of the majority party and does not have authority on or jurisdiction over independent members who are not bound by the party's disciplinary or attendance guidelines. Honorable Speaker, acknowledging the importance of fair representation in committee assignments and the autonomy of independent members in the governance of parliamentary business, Honorable Speaker, in your direction issued yesterday, you ruled that what was before the House was reconstitution of committees rather than discharge of members. But, Honorable Speaker, be that as it may, can House committees be reconstituted without taking into account the interest of the names submitted by the caucus of independent members of Parliament? Honorable Speaker, I seek your ruling on the two following issues. One, whether in the process of reconstituting committees, the majority whip can remove or reassign independent members of Parliament without consulting them or the caucus of independent members of Parliament. Number two, Honorable Speaker, whether such reallocation or reassignment or reconstitution would violate the role of the Committee on Selection as outlined in Standing Order 73 and the principle of fair representation in committees. Honorable Speaker, if you give me 1 minute to explain. Honorable Speaker, we have 12 members of Parliament elected on an independent ticket to this National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I'm one of them. I'm here not because of a political party, but I was brought here directly by the people of Marakwet West. Honorable Speaker, the practice in this House, when the first committees were nominated, was that we sat down, we formed a caucus. The caucus was formally recognized by yourself, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we sat down, we nominated members, our members to serve, to select committees in which they want to serve in. Honorable Speaker, we have one member, one independent member, Honorable Karole Ngeleche, who sits in the committee of selection of this House to protect the interest of the independents in this House. Honorable Speaker, I am not under the guidance or the leadership of Honorable Kimani Chungwa, who is the leader of majority, because, Honorable Speaker, he is not my leader in this House. I am an independent member. I am not under the guidance or the supervision of Honorable Kimani Chungwa. I am not under the guidance or supervision of the majority whip of this House, nor the minority whip. Honorable Speaker, therefore, I have no issue. I have been removed from the committee. I have no issue. But for posterity, Honorable Speaker, it is good you issue a ruling to protect the independent members of this House who are elected from their constituencies to serve the interests of their people before the floor of this House. Honorable Speaker, I would invite your ruling on those two fundamental issues so that the interests of independent members of this House are not subverted. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Junet.
Mr. Speaker, I've been in this Parliament since the new Constitution came into place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it looks like the hangover of the old ways, the hangover of the old Constitution has refused to go away from this country. Mr. Speaker, you've been a member of Parliament for long. You remember the previous parliaments where you served before the new Constitution, Mr. Speaker. The whips used to constitute committees, send it to the Speaker for approval, and it ends there. Under the new Constitution, Mr. Speaker, a standing committee was formed called Selection Committee that deals with issues of placement in committees. And whatever proposal that the leadership of minority, majority, independents, and all kinds of caucuses that are in this House are looked into in that committee, Mr. Speaker. That committee has representation from all sectors. It has representation from the majority, It has representation from the minority. It has representation from the independents, the so-called court in court. It has representation from small parties, non-parliamentary parties. It has representation from, Mr. Speaker, all shades of representation in the House. What we bring before that committee that is chaired by the majority leader is proposals from different sectors. We bring proposals from the minority that, please, we are bringing proposals from the minority that this is how we want to constitute our committees. The majority brings, the independents have a voice there. It is that committee that makes a decision, Mr. Speaker, that go back and redo this, or we are in agreement, and if there is even a stalemate, people vote, Mr. Speaker, in that committee. But Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say, under this new constitution, the whole idea of independence needs to be relooked into, Mr. Speaker, in this country. How independent are independents in this House? We know when they come here, they align with who? These are the same independents, even though even now it is broad-based, after the new election, they joined the other side. Some of us were with us. They left us at night, not even during the day. I called them, I told them, where have you gone? They told me we were in Karen. Karen where? Where the new president is. Oh, I told them, we shall meet later. So we need to exercise, we need to look into this matter of independence generally, Mr. Speaker. You cannot be independent when you want committees, but when there are serious, fundamental issues of the country, you are not independent. You are either with the minority or you are with the majority, Mr. Speaker. There are independents on our side here, like Fatuma Full Network, the woman rep for Migori. By all intent and purposes, she's an ODM member. She votes with us. She comes to our parliamentary group meeting. Shakil Shabir is independent. By all intent and purposes, he's an ODM member, Mr. Speaker. So just say your member did not get the lucrative committees that members are looking for, either budget committee, transport committee, and everybody cannot get. But the whole issue of independence, Mr. Speaker, in your ruling, my plea to you now in your ruling is that go broader, Mr. Speaker, and relook at the whole issue of independence. How independent are they, Mr. Speaker? With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I don't buttress what has already been said by the leader of minority, because indeed it is true that under the current dispensation, the political parties, both parliamentary and non-parliamentary political parties, in line with our standing orders, are represented in the selections committee, which I happen to chair. And decisions of that committee are not decisions of the chair, are decisions, as the leader of minority have said, decisions of the committee. By consensus, and where there is no consensus, we vote. And it is also true, Honorable Speaker, in line with our own standing orders, the independents in the House, and I don't want to question the independents myself, but the independents in the House are accorded an opportunity to sit in that selections committee. And indeed, when I listen to Honorable Timothy Toroitich, the issue he's raising is coached around a constitutional issue, but is more of a complaint of his relegation to another committee from the one he was serving in. But I can confirm, because we sat in that committee on Monday evening, the Honorable Timothy Toroitich, the committee he was in, he has been replaced by another independent member. Not a member from the majority or from the minority. It is another independent member who has taken his position. And in line with the proposals that we got before the committee, Honorable Speaker, from the representation of the independents in the selections committee. To Honorable Speaker, I engaged the Honorable Ngelechei and Honorable Karauri, who lead that caucus of independents. And when they appeared before the Honorable Ngelechei as a representative of the independents in the selections committee, submitted their list. Honorable Speaker, as expected, every other member in this House wants to be a member of the budget committee, transport, energy, education, water and irrigation. But it is not practical. And that is why what Honorable Junet says is true. The intent of the Constitution and our standing orders was to establish a selections committee that would then guide the House to settle members in committees, because it was expected that if what Timothy Toroitich says is true, or was to be true, that if a particular grouping brings their list before the selections committee, expressing their desire, what if all independents, we had 20 or 30 independent members, and they all express the desire to sit in the budget committee? Shall we have a budget committee where only independent members sit? Or for instance, now I think there are about 11 or 12 of them. If they all wanted to sit in the transport committee, would it mean then that that is the only committee they will all sit in? That was the import of our constitution and our standing orders, that there will be established a selections committee that, like all other business of the House, the committee will guide in terms of settling and agreeing through consensus, and where there's no consensus, by a vote, which member sits in which committee, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I think, by and large, when I listen to the Honorable Troy Teach, I have heard his disgruntlement and a complaint on the committee that he has been settled on by the selections committee. But I want to encourage the Honorable Member for Marakwet West. Focus more on serving the people of Marakwet West. And there are members who have served in this House and not served in any committee of the House. But they have done exemplary well in the assembly, in plenary, and in their constituencies in addressing matters that are of concern to the people that sent them to represent them. Otherwise, if you focus on disgruntlement on whether you sit in this or that committee, as I said yesterday, Honorable Speaker, we may not be able to satisfy everybody, and it's not practical to satisfy everybody in terms of their desires and needs as individuals. But let us use the opportunities that we are given to serve in whatever committee you are relegated to serve in, whether it is in Transport Committee, whether it is in the very powerful Members' Welfare Committee. That, Honorable Speaker, I said when in the last Parliament I served in the Members' Welfare Committee, I have never served in a more powerful committee of this House than the Members' Welfare Committee. This is a committee that oversees the Parliamentary Service Commission, where the Speaker is the chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission. There is no other committee of this House that can oversight, Mr. Speaker, other than the Members' Welfare Committee. And I am very proud of my time as a member of the Members' Welfare Committee because, Honorable Speaker, you remember when you took over as chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, Bunge Tower had actually progressed in the last 2 years of the last regime because of the work that we put to make sure that we oversighted the Parliamentary Service Commission to ensure that members of Parliament who joined the 13th Assembly, and I must thank you, Honorable Speaker, because when you came in, you picked up from where the other commission had left and ensured that now members enjoy good facilities at Bunge Tower. And I want to ask the members who are joining the Members' Welfare Committee, keep the Speaker on his toes so that he can continue guiding the Parliamentary Service Commission to improve your welfare as members of Parliament. And that's why I say it is one of the most powerful committees of this House, Honorable Speaker. I was just engaging with my brother, Honorable Nimrod Mbai. I was telling him the Public Petitions Committee again, when we crafted this committee in the last Parliament, it is bound to be one of the best committees of this House. But let me say, these committees are as good as the leadership and as the membership. It is up to you, whichever committee you are put in, to make the best out of it, and also in the service to your constituents. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member, I'll give you 1 minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As you'll be making your ruling, it is very important that you listen to the voice of the honorable member who spoke without the committee or the committee notwithstanding. Because in the original, an analogy was very clear that the independent members need to be protected. Though in the end, as I listened to him, he failed to explain whether the representative of the independent members were in the selection committee that did the work. Somewhat, that's what he did not pronounce himself on. So that's an important place you'll have to check, so that as we protect their section, indeed, notwithstanding the committee that he has been given, it's important that continuously their place is protected. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Timothy, I don't need to go and think deeply on this. It's a very straightforward matter. For independent members, the standing orders, you've rightly said, have given you an opportunity to form a caucus, which can help you in prosecuting your interests at various levels in your performance of your duty. Number two, the Speaker ensured, by advising the majority-minority leaders, that you are represented as independents from your caucus on the selections committee, which you are, by none other than the distinguished lady from your own county, your county representative, Honorable Caroline Ngelechei. So you are not unrepresented. Number three, the standing orders are very clear, 174, that no member, and I repeat, no member, each member of this House must serve in one committee. From the reconstitution of committees that was brought to the House Business Committee chaired by the Speaker and sitting members from both sides of the House, I was satisfied that there is not a single member of this House who has, each member out of all of you has a committee, at least one. As to quality of committees, that is not for the Speaker. I don't even know what quality in a committee means. What I know is that we have committees of the House in the standing orders that I participated with Julius Sunguli, the late Godana, former member from Nakuru called Bishop Kimani, the late Henry Obocha. We wrote these standing orders. Before then, this House had only 4 committees: public accounts, public investments, House business, and powers and privileges. There were no other committees. We created committees to make the House work better. So what I advise you, Honorable Kipchumba, go back to your representative in the selections committee. You heard Honorable Junaid say this is a moving target. The committees are dynamic in membership. You are there today, tomorrow you are moved to some other committee, subject, of course, to procedural issues being adhered to. So I don't see any issue for me to retreat and bring a ruling. It's as straightforward as that. Number three, I want also to advise you as a young member. Your prowess in your representation, debate, and legislation is not hinged on which committee you sit in. It has many variables. For over 30 years, I have been in Parliament. There is not a single parliamentary session that I served in more than one committee. By choice. Every time I was given more than one committee, I declined. I served only one committee at a time. For over 30 years, I have never chaired a parliamentary committee. The only time I now chair a committee is by virtue of the office I hold. That is House Business Committee. I have never presented myself to be elected as a chair or vice chair of any committee, because I was always guided by the belief that being a chair of a committee is cumbersome and was going to withhold my capacity to think, to debate, to work, and to represent my people. So I kept off from chairing any committee. But that Honorable Bukose holds a different view. That is entirely up to you. So Honorable Kipchumba, as you navigate in your first term, try your best to establish good PR with your colleagues, especially those you send to sit in those committees, so that they can represent you better, represent your interests, agitate for your interests, vote for your interests, and give you what you want. The Speaker has no capacity to place any member in any committee. He only has capacity to ensure that you cannot be committeeless. I think that helps you, Timothy, going forward. And in future, that is how we shall operate. Allow me to acknowledge Sacho High School from Baringo Central, Baringo County, who are in the public gallery. I welcome them to the House of Parliament on my behalf and your behalf. Pardon? I have welcomed them on your behalf, Honorable Kandia. And I'm sure you will go out there to engage them after this. Next order. Oh, sorry, Jared Okello, what is it? Take 1 minute.
Honorable Speaker, there is this thing that is now becoming my pet project, inadvertently though. You have ordered more than 4 times for a report that feeds into hardship areas in this country.
The classification of hardship areas.
Of hardship areas. 4
Yes.
times you have asked the majority leadership to avail the report here. In fact, last week when you were giving what I would call the final directive, the majority leader himself did talk about the imbalances in his own constituency, where he averred that one particular location has one sub-location that is hardship, and the rest of the locations in
that
the
is
same.
Enough. You have made that point many times.
Yes.
Majority Leader, when is the report?
Honorable Speaker, allow me to do that when we resume from the short recess.
That is after 3 weeks.
Yes.
Jared, you will hold your horses until after 3 weeks. Honorable members, can you call out the next order?
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable members, will you be upstanding?
Order, members. Those who wish to participate in the Committee of the Whole House may get seated. We are going to start with the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023.
Clauses 3, 4, 5. Clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
I propose a question that clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
I propose the question that clause 8 be part of the bill. We have an amendment. The Honorable Irene Nyakerario Mayaka. Yes, Majority Leader, you may proceed.
Honorable Chair, allow me to move this amendment on behalf of Honorable Irene Mayaka, who went for the Kisii consultative meeting with the former Prime Minister. And Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be amended as is on the order paper. And the import of this amendment, Honorable Speaker, by Honorable Irene Mayaka, is to include under paragraph F, after E, paragraph F, to include the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and under G, the Principal Secretary of the State Department for the time being responsible for matters related to ICT and digital economy, or a representative designated in writing. Honorable Speaker, this relates to the establishment of the Interagency Transition Committee to review taxes, charges, and fees imposed by any county before the enactment of the Act. And the committee had consisted of the National Treasury, a Commission on Revenue Allocation, Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, the Council of Governors, KRA, and the Honorable Irene Mayaka now proposes to add the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, which I agree with Honorable Speaker, because they are the people who engage almost on a day-to-day basis with traders, and they will add value to that committee. Also, the Principal Secretary in charge of ICT and digital economy, because they will help in reviewing the systems for payment, especially on digital platforms, to be included in this committee, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to move.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I propose the question that Clause 8 be amended as proposed by the Majority Leader on behalf of the Honorable Irene Mayaka. I don't see any interest in this, so I'll go ahead and put the question. I now put the question that Clause 8 be amended as proposed by the Majority Leader on behalf of the Honorable Irene Mayaka. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that Clause 8 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 9, 10, and 11.
I propose the question that Clause 9, 10, and 11 be part of the bill, and there be no amendments. I propose the question that Clauses 9, 10, and 11 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that Clause 2 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that Clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. No amendment. So I put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that Clause 1 be part of the bill, and there be no amendment. I put the question that Clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, as you may realize, we have finished the first bill, and I would like to call upon the mover to move reporting.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the county government revenue raising, county government revenue raising process bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, and its approval thereof with that one amendment.
Thank you. Honorable members, I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the county government's revenue raising process bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, and its approval with amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay?